Welcome to the True Assassins podcast. You know, we're diving deep today, right into this fascinating duality, is the best way to put it. Two narratives, listener submitted, of course, that really kind of orbit these individuals who are, living in the shadows. But get this, the forces that are pushing them, driving them, and the outcomes they face are like night and day, totally different. We're talking morality, we're talking retribution, we're talking the long tail, the unforeseen consequences that come with living a life kind of, always on the edge. Let's unpack this, see what we can find.
It really is fascinating, isn't it? Seeing how these figures, both operating in such darkness, undergo such massive transformations. But yeah, you hit it right on the head through totally different means. Really makes you think about what change really means when it happens in such, well, extreme circumstances.
For sure. The first one we have, No Rest for the Wicked, takes a character we all know, Ebenezer Scrooge, yeah, that's Scrooge, and flips the script. He doesn't just suddenly become, Mr. Charity. Instead, he goes on this mission to, well, for lack of a better term, eliminate anyone he sees as morally corrupt, specifically because of greed. It's dark, right? And we've got excerpts that lay out how he does it, how his whole mindset changes. It's a far cry from Dickens, that's for sure.
Yeah, A Christmas Carol. This is not, it really makes you wonder, did those ghosts he met just end up changing his goals, not really changing him? Was his heart really touched, or did a man who was used to power just find a new way to wield it?
Right. And then complete shift in gears. We've got Shadow Dweller. This one's about your classic assassin, but there's a twist he stumbles into. Well, maybe a supernatural threat. And he's forced to deal with the darkness that basically is his life, but in a terrifying way. A different kind of darkness compared to what Scrooge is dealing with.
You got it. Where Scrooge is out there dismantling, like actively fighting the bad stuff he sees, this shadow dweller, he's hit with darkness that almost seems to come from inside him. But it's amplified by this, this potentially otherworldly thing. I bet that gets the wheels turning. Is it free will or is it destiny, right?
Exactly. The stuff you sent in paints this incredible picture. One guy chooses to become judge, jury, and executioner after he has this, huge awakening. The other guy, he's forced to deal with the consequences of what he does for a living, and there's definitely a supernatural element involved there. So we're digging deep into the why they do what they do and the very different ways they deal with all this darkness around them. But first, we need to start with Scrooge and his. Let's call it an unorthodox second act. What do you think?
Absolutely. So we see in No Rest for the Wicked that Scrooge's transformation, it's more than just, becoming a nice guy after seeing some ghosts, right? The excerpts talk about this honed gaze, how he sees the rot that wealth creates. It's like he's got this new clarity, maybe even a cynical one, about how greed grows and corrupts everything it touches. What stands out to you the most about this new way he sees the world?
It changes the way you see his actions. This isn't charity. It's more like some twisted form of penance. It's almost as if he's trying to make up for the bad stuff he did by going after those who are doing the same things now. What does that tell us about what it really means to atone for your sins?
Now that's the million-dollar question. Is Scrooge truly changing? Or is this just how his obsessive personality is coming out now? Because he's still driven, still manipulative, just aiming it all at a different target. Makes you think, is it the outcome that matters, or is it the reason behind it?
And the examples they give of who he goes after, they're so vivid. You've got this slumlord with his coins clinking against the cries of starving tenants, and the factory owner whose, quote, corpulence mocked his skeletal workers. They aren't just villains. They're like walking examples of exploitation, the same stuff Scrooge probably did in his past. How do those images shape how you understand his motivations?
Oh, they make it crystal clear what the real cost of unchecked greed is.
Yeah.
The human cost.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what Scrooge is fighting against now, even though the way he does it, it's ethically questionable, to say the least. It makes you think, can the ends ever justify the means, especially if those means involve, manipulation and fear?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like he's out there killing people directly, but he's using these sneaky methods. He's exposing people who are stealing money, leading them to ruin, even suicide. He's whispering things to competitors to bring down corrupt businesses. He's even using forged letters to cause chaos. It's still ruthless, but it's all from a distance. He's like a puppet master. What does that tell us about, what's still left of his old self?
It tells you that he knows business and he knows how to use power. That hasn't gone anywhere. He's just taken all those skills, the finance, the deception, and turned them towards this moral mission he's on. For you, it might be like, can we ever really escape who we were? Or will our skills and habits always shape what we do, no matter how good our intentions are?
And then you've got this name the newspapers give him, the ghost of Christmas yet to come. That's some serious irony there, right?
Yeah.
He saw a future where he was alone and miserable, and now he's out there shaping other people's futures. It's not exactly what that ghost had in mind. What does that title make you think about, like how consequences can come back around?
It's a constant reminder that he's tied to those ghosts, to those ideas of consequences and the future. But it also highlights how dark his actions are. He's still bringing about bad endings, just for different people now. It's a messed up echo of his past, isn't it? Something to think about when we talk about justice.
Right, and the excerpts even mention his inner struggles. It's not the ghosts of Christmas past that haunt him, it's like echoes of his old self. And he even catches glimpses of Marley in the mirror sometimes. Sounds like there's some serious guilt there, maybe even some fear that he hasn't really changed at all. What does that inner battle tell you about redemption?
It shows that he's human, even though he's acting like some kind of dark knight. It shows that he doesn't take his actions lightly, that he knows he's walking a fine line. It makes you wonder, can what you do ever really fix what's going on inside?
Then there's this turning point. Fred, the nice guy, he begs Scrooge to help this young merchant who's hit hard times, but not because he's greedy or anything, totally innocent. And that brings back a memory of Bob Cratchit. A little bit of empathy breaks through. What does that say about how powerful connections and empathy can be?
That is a huge moment. It shows that Scrooge's capacity for compassion, it's still there, buried under, years of cynicism, but not gone. He can still see the difference between people who are out to exploit others and those who are just unlucky. It's about seeing the nuances, isn't it?
And this is where he makes a big decision. Instead of, ruining people, he uses his money and connections to actually help those in need. And all those ledgers he was keeping, the records of his crusade, he burns them all. What do you think that means?
Burning those ledgers is him saying he's done with that part of his life. It's a super visual way of showing that he doesn't want to punish people anymore. He wants to do something good, something that actually helps. It's like a cleansing ritual after, being the punisher for so long.
And they end that part by saying Scrooge isn't getting that grim satisfaction anymore. There's like a sliver of hope. Maybe his chains are loosening. It's not just him becoming a good guy overnight. It's more complicated than that. What sticks with you after reading that part?
It shows that real change is messy. He doesn't become a saint. He just takes a step in the right direction. He might actually find redemption, but it's not going to be easy or simple. It reminds you that even in stories about transformation, the journey is more important than the destination.
Now let's switch gears completely and talk about the Shadow Dweller. This is a totally different kind of story. Way darker, way more supernatural and psychologically messed up. What are your first thoughts on this change in tone?
The Shadow Dweller story starts with this assassin who is so sure of himself, almost arrogant. He just laughs off this witch and her silly curses. He sees himself as some kind of force of nature, a shadow given form, a dealer in endings, and nothing more. He thinks he's above it all. What does that tell you about what's going on inside his head?
He thinks he's above superstition, like his skills and his job make him untouchable. He's the master of shadows, not the other way around.
But then everything changes. The witch says his real name. Not even his clients know that name. Only his family did, and they're all dead. He totally loses his cool. His practiced nonchalance is gone. Why do you think that moment is so important?
It's like someone pulled back the curtain and showed that he's not this untouchable killer. He's vulnerable. Nobody's supposed to know who he really is. That's part of being a shadow dweller.
And then she drops this line on him. The shadows you command will claim you. It's creepy, and it's poetic, and it's tied directly to who he is, this creature of darkness. What do you think about the way that curse is worded?
It messes with him immediately. He forgets about the job he's on, and now he's got this horrible feeling that something bad's going to happen. Even the shadows, his tools, they feel different, dangerous. His whole world is flipped upside down in an instant.
What do you think this says about what he really believes deep down? The curse doesn't actually do anything to him at first. It just gets in his head.
Yeah.
It feeds on his fears, his connection to darkness. Makes you think, how much power does just believing something have? Can our thoughts really shape what happens to us?
Now he can't even sleep. He has these nightmares about the witch and this monstrous thing he can't even describe. He even gets scared of the dark. Yeah. That's crazy for a guy who lives in the shadows. What do you think that says about, how our jobs and who we are can change?
Being afraid of the dark. It's like a perfect symbol for what's going on inside him. He used to control the darkness. Now it's controlling him. It makes you think, can you really master something like darkness without it changing you?
And then he starts having these hallucinations. He sees this twisted version of himself in a puddle, feels claws grabbing at him from the shadows. It's like he's going insane because of the curse, and maybe because of all the guilt he's been carrying around. How do those details help you understand what's happening to him mentally?
It's getting hard to tell what's real and what's in his head. Is the curse messing with the world around him, or is it just breaking his mind, making him face all the bad stuff he's done and tried to ignore? It says a lot about how sneaky guilt and fear are.
He used to be able to slip through the underworld like it was nothing, but now everyone's afraid of him. Even the toughest criminals are scared. The guy who used to scare everyone is now the one being feared. What do you make of that role reversal?
It's like a twisted mirror image of his own actions. The fear he used as a weapon is now pointed right back at him, made even worse by this supernatural element. Makes you think, fear, it can come back to bite you.
He's desperate, right? He has to figure out what's happening. So he goes back to the witch, and she asks him this question. Ready to face your true nature. What do you think she means by that?
That question, it's like a clue. It tells you that the curse wasn't just something evil from outside. It was something that was going to break him down and force him to see what was already inside him.
And then he finally gets it. The curse has stripped him bare, shown him the darkness that was always there. As all the people he's killed, their spirits are coming back for revenge. The shadows he used are now their way of getting back at him. That's a pretty messed up twist, right?
The shadows aren't just shadows anymore. They're his bad deeds coming back to get him.
Yeah.
It's this powerful image of, you can't run from your past. It's always there.
And in the end, the shadows consume him. That's the price he pays. A fitting but totally terrifying end. What do you think about that ending?
And you never really know for sure if the curse was real or not. Was it magic from the witch, or was it just something that broke him down mentally and made him face his own demons? The story leaves that open, which makes it even creepier, right?
Right, and it's even more disturbing because even though he's, gone, he's become this scary story that people tell each other in the underworld. They don't even realize he's still kind of out there, stuck in the shadows, paying for what he did. So we've got these two stories. Scrooge and the Shadow Dweller, they're both in the dark, dealing with life and death, but their reasons are totally different. Scrooge kind of shows this. The Shadow Dweller had it forced on him. What's the biggest difference you see in how they handle it?
It's really interesting to look at how they approach justice and revenge. Scrooge, he goes after people he thinks deserve to be punished, but his methods are definitely not, legal. The Shadow Dweller, on the other hand, he becomes the target of revenge himself because of his actions.
And their pasts, they play such a big role in what happens to them. Scrooge was this ruthless miser, and that's what fuels this mission he's on. The Shadow Dweller, well, he was an assassin, and that led to his downfall. How do you see their past shaping their present?
And their relationship with guilt and redemption is totally different, too. Scrooge is trying to deal with his guilt, and he might even find redemption. The Shadow Dweller never really faces his guilt until this curse forces him to. It shows how differently people react when their actions catch up to them.
So taking it all in, what do these two stories tell us about the consequences of what we do and the whole idea of morality? Scrooge, even though he's got this dark side, maybe he can change, even if his past will always be a part of him. The Shadow Dweller, he's a warning. Your dark deeds can come back to haunt you, whether it's supernatural or just your own conscience eating away at you.
Both of these stories show that what you do has consequences.
Yeah.
You can't escape that. And the shadows we live in, they can change us in ways we can't even imagine.
These two narratives are fiction, inspired by the dark world of True Kill by Orlando Madsbrine, but they really get you thinking about the dark parts of human nature. You sent in some incredible examples of characters who change in huge ways and face some truly terrifying things.
It really makes you wonder, can anyone ever truly escape their past? Or will it always shape their present and future in ways they can't even see?
Think about the paths these characters took, the forces that shaped them, and what they achieved or didn't achieve. Was Scrooge really redeemed, or was he just controlling in a different way? Was the Shadow Dweller doomed from the start, or was the curse really what did him in?
It makes you question things like justice, doesn't it? Is something like the witch's curse, even if it was supernatural, is that a form of justice? Or are we each responsible for the darkness inside us?
I hope this deep dive got you thinking. What stood out to you the most? What other questions do you have about justice, morality, and how our past actions can come back to haunt us? Keep thinking about it, and maybe you'll find even more to uncover. Thanks for listening to the True Assassins podcast. Rate and follow show for more addictive cloak and dagger stories.